So let's get into some picks. Let's get into some players on DraftKings. I want to be pretty disciplined here, despite the big names. We're going to give you, if you're new to the podcast, we break things up into GPPs or tournaments, which are large, guaranteed prize pool tournaments on DraftKings, on FanDuel, where, it's very top heavy and only the top 20 or so percent are going to get paid out. And you're trying to finish in the top 1%, right? Or better. So ownership leverage is a big deal in GPPs. Having low-owned players that pop, not having high-owned players that suck is a big deal in those. We're also going to have cash plays, which is our, who cares about ownership? Who cares about how popular they are? We feel like these guys are going to play really well, play them no matter what in cash games, head-to-heads, 50-50s, and double-ups on those DFS sites. And then we're going to give you our fades in each category. Guys to avoid. Guys we think if you're going to plant a flag, don't play these guys for whatever reason. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down into 9K and above, 8K, 7K, and 6K. And then when we get into 6K, Pat, I have something special. I've done a lot of digging into the 6K because you know what? We get so many questions every week, every Wednesday night in the Nut Hut, don't we? What's like the most popular question in the Nut Hut, Pat?
Oh, it's definitely your favorite play under 7K.
Who are your favorite guys under 7K, right? Because everybody's trying to stack the top guys. Now, if you were in the Nut Hut this past week for the Safeway on Thursday morning, because they didn't see off till like 10 or I think it was 10 Eastern time, one of my favorites was a guy named Harry Higgs, who just finished runner-up at the Safeway, and he was 3% owned, and he was $6,000. So everybody's always looking for these little nuggets, right? So I really went through some of the names in the 6K, especially the guys coming over from the European Tour that a lot of people don't have any familiarity with. So I want to give you my favorite plays in the 6K, but if you stick around long enough, I'm also going to talk through some of those names in the European Tour, coming from the European Tour, that I think may be worth a look and maybe you should just forget are there. Don't even get caught up, right? Because I think you're going to get ownership leverage with just about all of them. So looking at who I think could pop in that range, I want to spend a little more time on that. But let's start 9K and above, 3 tournament or GPP plays, a cash play, and a fade. Pat, are you going to play Dustin Johnson? And if not, or if so, who else are you going to play?
I think I will have some DJ shares. He's not listed as, since we're narrowing it down a little bit more here, he's not listed as one of my plays this week, but I could still end up with some shares of DJ at 11.5. I don't mind that. I think, like you said, there's a lot of good guys in the 6K range that you can play and fit DJ in your lineup. So, but I'm starting at Justin Thomas at 10.7. I like the price for him. Obviously coming in good form. He was second 2 weeks ago at the Tour Championship. Checks the box. He's obviously a great ball striker. Approach, he's number 2 in the field, top 20 in the field in scrambling, 34th in driving distance, 30th in bogey avoidance. Doesn't check the box in driving accuracy, but you'll see that a lot with these top guys. It's very hard to match a guy, in this that has a ton of distance with accuracy. You're not going to see a guy that's like number 1 in accuracy and number 1 in distance. There's just no, like, if we see that guy, he's winning every single damn golf tournament ever. So I love some Justin Thomas this week. I think his ownership might be a little lower. I think, more people are going to go to some guys around him, but we'll see where that ends up. But I like him. He is one of my favorite plays here. So that is my first GPP play. My second is Xander Shafflee at 10.1. I absolutely love him. Now, you talk about a guy that can check the box in both distance and accuracy. That is Xander Shafflee. He's also number 1 in the field in bogey avoidance. He is 7th in scrambling, and he is also top 20 in ball striking. The approach game, not as good right now, but we've seen him in great form. Again, just like JT was second at the Tour Championship, another course that's very difficult off the tee, and you've got to keep it in the fairway. And it's just, I think Xander is just primed and ready to win his first major championship. So at 10.1, I like him as well for your tournament lineups. My last GPP play, I think, is going to be a little bit controversial. I think you're not going to like this one because there's some stat categories where he doesn't really check the box. Okay. But I like what I saw with him at the PGA Championship just a few weeks ago at Harding Park on another very difficult course, and he's been in good form most of the year. Tony Fenow at 9,100. And I'm wondering where his ownership is going to fall, because he's right there next to Berger, who we know is going to be extremely popular. And I love Berger, but I think he's going to be a little bit chalky. Hideki probably won't. I don't know. Cantlade might not. But I feel like a lot of people are going to go down there and look at Berger and say, okay, Berger, check. And they're going to take him, and they're going to forget about Fenow this week. But you look at it, he's 20th in the field in ball striking, 25th in approach. He's top 10 in driving distance, top 20 in bogey avoidance. I feel like Fenow is ready for a good week, and we've seen him play good almost all year. He was 5th at the BMW just a few weeks ago. He had that 4th place finish at the PGA Championship. So I like him, and I'm going to be very interested to see when ownership projections come out where Tony Fenow is, because typically he is pretty high owned. But I just wonder if this week it's going to be a little bit less than normal. As far as a cash play, I feel like this is very easy. Webb Simpson at 9,700. He's got great U.S. Open experience. He's obviously won one before. You talk about sort of the mentality factor of a golfer. Webb fits that perfectly for the U.S. Open. I mean, there's not a stat that shows that, but he's just very calm, very cool. He doesn't get too up or down on a golf course. He's got a great caddy in Paul Tesori, and then he's obviously in fantastic form. So I think Webb Simpson makes for a pretty easy, just, forget it, set it and forget it cash play at 9,700. I like that. And then my fade is going to be Bryson DeChambeau, and I don't care what you think about him as far as his personality and whatever else. I just don't like him for his game for a U.S. Open. He's the opposite of Webb. I think he gets a little bit flustered when he starts spraying it or doesn't do something right or whatever. I think the U.S. Open is just not a great tournament. Now, or tournament for him. I like him for the Masters, something like that. Yeah. But I don't like him at a U.S. Open. And he's just, he hasn't played near as well as when we had the restart. And he's obviously he's number one in the field in driving distance, but he's also 114th in the field in driving accuracy. His approach game, he's 126 in strokes gained approach. And around the greens, he is 91st. So I just don't see Bryson doing anything, in that price of 9,900. I still think it's just way overinflated based off of how he played, going on a couple months ago. So there you go.
Here's what's going to happen. I want to stay on Bryson, because come Wednesday night, you're going to be looking at ownership projections, and Bryson's going to be like 6% projected. He's going to be low, and you're going to be like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
And then that's tempting. I am trying to talk myself out of it, because my fade in this range is Bryson as well. You cannot, from what we're hearing, from what we're seeing, from what the USGA has made it very clear they want to do with this golf course, you cannot play this golf course well missing the fairway, which means Bryson has to dial it back off the tee. He has to. But so you're taking away his greatest weapon, but he's not even tour average with his irons right now. He's awful. He's terrible. So you're moving him further back from in the fairway from where he's typically used to if he hits a fairway. And you're moving him, you're putting a long, not longer. God, he's so complicated. You're not putting a longer club in his hand because all of his clubs are the same damn length, but you're putting a different club. The face angle is different, for crying out loud, if you're moving him back, right? And then his game around the green is so bad. I think that for Bryson to come out in top 5, top 10, this thing would be, he's going to have one of the best, chipping around the green performances he's had in recent history. So I think Bryson is the obvious fade here. So I am going to play DJ. I will pay the 11.5. I think there's plenty of value down below we can mess with for someone who putts best on POA surfaces. For someone who is playing the way that DJ is playing right now, I can't avoid him, and I want to play him. I like the win equity. I think he has more win equity than anyone else in the field right now at this moment, with everything clicking the way that it's clicking, and I want to have the winner. And I honestly believe DJ is the clear favorite coming into this week. He just is. And he's got a great U.S. Open record, as we all know, incredible U.S. Open record. I mean, just in the last 5 years, a first, a runner-up, and a third. So I gotta have DJ. I agree with you on Xander. And I think Xander may be a little chalky. People are going to dodge Rory right now, and I think you should. I think Rory's not there right now. He's not all there at the moment. He finished top 10 at East Lake, but it just, remember, there's only 30 players, so he's just not all the way there. So I think people are going to play Xander. I think I could see him being popular, but I don't care. And I'm not super worried about the iron play as much. He's also got a really solid U.S. Open record. He's played 3 U.S. Opens. His worst finish is a 6th. That, last time I checked, is pretty solid. Xander just shows up for big golf tournaments. So Xander's a must for me. And then I'm gonna go and play. You mentioned Webb, and I definitely don't mind Webb at all. I mean, it's hard to avoid Webb, but as we say with every major, with every really strong field, you have to plant your flag. You cannot play them all. You have to make choices. You don't need to play them all. You need to plant flags on 2 or 3 guys up here and be okay not playing a guy that you like. Like Webb is that guy for me. I like Webb. If you hit me up in the Nut Hut on Wednesday night and want me to talk you out of Webb, I'm not going to talk you out of Webb if that's who you like. But I am going to go with Daniel Berger at 9,200. I get a little bit of a price break from a guy like Webb, and the form, the ball striking, the fairway finding, the around the green, everything is solid. Historically, a good POA putter. I guess he's still like really trying to make this Masters campaign for the 2020 Masters that he's not in. I feel like he's like somewhat motivated to do that. I don't know. Decent U.S. Open record history. He's made 4 or 5 cuts with his best finish was a 6th. But I think Berger is as good a bet as any, and I love the price at 9,200. My cash play is going to be another guy who has a tremendous U.S. Open record. If he can hit some fairways, that would be nice, and that is Hideki Matsuyama. Love the savings with Hideki at 9,000. Great scrambler right now over the last 24 rounds, avoiding the bogeys. Irons are sharp. He's just got to hit a few more fairways. That's it. He tends to break even on POA surfaces, which is great for Hideki. He doesn't lose a bunch of strokes. And again, great U.S. Open record. I feel like in a golf tournament where you really are trying to get 6 guys through the cut, if you can get 6 guys through the cut this week, you are on a roll. If you can get 5 or 6 through, you're probably good as long as you have some leverage. I think Hideki's a solid cut maker at 9K. So that's what I got.
Okay.
Yep. All right, let's get down into the 8K range on DraftKings. I'll kick us off here. Oh, this is tough, man. This is tough to narrow down. I think I'm probably gonna screw you up here, Pat. I'm gonna play Tommy Fleetwood. Did I screw you up?
You screwed me up. Damn it.
So Tommy, rounding into some form, the more I dug into Tommy, the more I started liking it, right? If you're looking at PGA Tour stats right now, they're okay. The irons are a little poor based on some, his struggles since the restart. He just finished 3rd in Portugal on the European Tour. So obviously played well this past week. I think he's going to come under a little bit low owned here. Great U.S. Open record. Plays difficult golf courses pretty well. Best putting surface historically on the PGA Tour is POA. Has the distance and the accuracy combo off the tee. He's also, all right, so we talk about this from time to time. There's a sports book that we reference that we don't usually point people to because their numbers are too good, right? And you don't want too good numbers. You want appetizing numbers, right? But there's a sports book that we reference that we believe has the sharpest numbers for golf. We think that their odds are the most accurate odds out there. But we don't really want the most accurate. But right now they have Tommy Fleetwood with the same odds to win this golf tournament as Patrick Cantlay, Daniel Berger, better than Hideki, same as Fenow. just slightly longer than Webb Simpson, and you're getting him at an $8,900 value on DraftKings. So they believe in the win equity of Tommy Fleetwood. I do too. So I'm going to go with Tommy there. Then I'm going to go down to Adam Scott. What can you say about Adam Scott? Been playing very solid lately. Not real high finishes, but I think in this event where par is your friend, I actually like that better for Adam Scott than a birdie fest. But he checks every box, every single box. And then it's a toss-up for me, man. I don't know. I may have to actually, you know what? I would say, because I think Scott may be a little more popular than these other two. So I'll take Scott as my cash play. If I were going to play cash lineup, I put Scott in cash. I am going to roll with the next two guys in tournaments. And one is Patrick Reed. Love Patrick Reed here. I mentioned that I was valuing strokes gained around the green, patience, bogey avoidance, grinder. That is Patrick Reed, 85 hunch. I'll take some Patrick Reed shares for sure. And then I'm going to go to another one that may be a little more popular this week, but that is Terrell Hatton. I haven't really been a big believer in Terrell Hatton so far in the restart. It's kind of burned me a little bit. He's played really well. If you look at the non-starting strokes at East Lake, he finished 5th, I believe. So played great at East Lake. Checking all the boxes, putts well on POA, another grinder, kind of guy, a T21 and a T6 in his last 2 U.S. Opens for only $8,100. I think he also gives you win equity. So, and the guy won Bay Hill. That's a tough tournament, strong field, tough golf course. So I'll roll with Terrell Hatton. And then my fade is Tiger. We got to talk about Tiger. If it's a major championship week, we have to talk about Tiger. And I think this is an easy fade, honestly. It's similar to Bryson. It's kind of a cop-out fade. He's not played well at all since the restart. He's not checking boxes. He's not scrambling well. He's making big numbers. His irons are okay. But I don't know. I don't love Tiger here. He's not doing it for me. So 8,600, I'm out on Tiger. I would advise you to stay away from Tiger. And that same book that I'm talking about gives Tiger the same odds to win as they put him in the Ricky Fowler, Patrick Reed category. So take that for what you will. But I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, I'm playing Patrick Reed, but they put him, right in that range. So that's it for me in the 8K. Oh, people are going to be yelling at us about your ice and your Yeti, by the way. Thanks for that.
That's all they might as well hear in this range, because you just basically named every effing player that I had written down. So I don't have anything else to add. I have one to add. I mean, my GPP was Fleetwood and Hatton, and my cash was Scott. So I mean, you had everything I had written down, which really pisses me off because I didn't think you'd go Fleetwood, but whatever. So my fade's going to be Jason Day at 8,800. I feel like we may have missed if you didn't play him back when he was hot.
You think you missed the boat? Maybe.
I think you missed the boat, because after the PGA Championship, where he was T4, he had a miscut at the Northern Trust. He was 64th at the BMW Championship. We know he's always got a little bit of an injury risk in there somewhere. And if he's hacking it out of the rough, which he's probably going to be doing a good amount this week, he could hurt his back or do something, or, tweak an ankle, or I don't know. You just never know with Jason Day. He's not very accurate off the tee. Does have decent distance, and he's great around the greens. We know that Jason Day is one of the best scramblers on tour, but his approach game right now isn't that great as well, as far as the ball striking and everything else. So I think that, people might, I'd like to see where ownership is on him.
Today, Junior, you okay?
Anyway, Jason Day's my fade, and everybody else, I'm with you. This just drives me crazy.
Well, do you want to start the 7K, or do you want me to do that?
I can start the 7K.
Okay. Maybe you'll steal my place.
Let's see if that happens. I doubt it does.
This is the nitty-gritty right here. This is where big decisions have to be made here, Pat.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that I actually like in here. So I will start at the top with Paul Casey at 7,900. I like him this week. I think he is a good play. Checks the box and approach. He's second. Sorry. I was looking at different. He does not check the box in strokes gained around the green. He definitely has the distance. He's 24th in distance. He's 37th in fairways gained. He's third in the field in bogey avoidance. He can be frustrating. He can definitely be frustrating as far as his play, but I don't think the ownership is going to be that huge on Paul Casey this week. I mean, it'll be, maybe in that 10 to 15% range, which I'm okay with for tournaments. So I like Paul Casey at 7,900, and he's been in pretty good form. I mean, he had that second place finish at the Northern Trust. I think that was important for him. 23rd at the Wyndham, T19 at the PGA Championship. So, no, sorry, God, I keep looking at the wrong guy. Sorry, he was second at the PGA Championship. Sorry. Anyway,
you know what? I should just go first in every range and then let you just say, yeah, copy and paste.
Yeah, and so, well, what I'm getting mixed up with Casey is my cash play, which is actually Harris English, also at 7,900. So I'm looking literally right next to both of those guys. Harris English, we obviously know, is in great form as well. He's a guy that's just consistent and it's all get out, and that's what you want for cash plays. Checking the box in approach, also around the green. He is second in the field in strokes gained around the green. So he is another guy I like in cash as Harris English. My other GPP play is going to be Mr. Matthew Woof. Yes, it's 7,700.
Wow.
I like some Woof this week. I think that's going out there a little bit. Doesn't check the box in scrambling, but he's third in the field in ball striking, 16th in strokes gained approach. He's been great with his irons recently, 8th in driving distance, 41st in driving accuracy. So not only does he freaking bomb it off the tee, but he's actually fairly accurate when you think about it compared to the field. He is also, where is he right here? 11th in the field in bogey avoidance. I like some Matthew Wolff at 7,700, and I think his ownership is going to be super low. So, there you go.
Interesting.
My fade is going to be Abraham Answer at 7,700. Look, I mean, the form hasn't been incredible lately. I think he's going to garner a decent amount of ownership. 79th in ball striking, 103rd in approach, 100th in strokes gained around the green, 92nd in driving distance. He is very accurate off the tee, and he does check the box in bogey avoidance. But I think Answer could be set up for a bad week, and I think a lot of people might be on him based off that price, and he's a good name right there. I'm going to fade him. I think he's a decent fade. So there you go.
He hits it so straight, dude. He hits it so straight.
He does.
I mean, he made the cut at three of the most difficult. I mean, nothing flashy, but he made the cut at three of the most difficult courses we've seen all year: the BMW at Olympia Fields, the PGA at Harding Park, and then a 58 at Memorial when Jack's place was crazy. Yeah. And on all three of those, he really wasn't. He was sucked with his irons, but he's just so accurate off the tee. He doesn't suck off the tee.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a tough
week. Last GPP play, by the way. This is one I wanted to save to the end.
Oh, I thought you already.
No, I didn't. I gave two. Louis Oosthuizen.
Damn it, Pat.
6.
You've literally done what I just did to you in the 8K. You've done to me.
Yeah, love some freaking Louis. I mean, his form is damn good. I mean, T25 at the BMW, T13 at the Northern Trust, T33 at the PGA Championship, T6 at the WGC. He is checking boxes. He's a great player for a U.S. Open style golf course, especially a very difficult golf course like Wingfoot is.
Great U.S. Open record.
And his ownership is probably going to be low. I would not expect.
People just don't play Louis right now. I don't know.
They don't. So he is actually my favorite tournament play in this 7K range. So there you go. Now I'll let you go.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, before I get into that, it sure was nice seeing the teams back on the old gridiron today, Pat. I don't know if you watched any of the NFL. But lucky for us, it was just week one because the Falcons sucked. But there's no better place to get in on all the action than DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. To add to this week's excitement, DraftKings has millions of dollars in total prizes up for grabs. If you haven't tried DraftKings yet, head to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. Draft your lineup and feel the sweat like never before. Every run, pass, and catch means more with DraftKings. It's simple. You pick your lineup, you stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Nothing adds to the excitement of watching the game quite like having a shot at millions of dollars in prizes. DraftKings has paid out billions, that's with a B, of dollars to winners since 2012, so they know a thing or two about cold, hard cash, brother. I'm going to call some action right here, so everybody be ready. Download the DraftKings app now and use code Tour Junkies. For a limited time, new users can get a free shot at millions of dollars in prizes this week. Don't miss out on the week 2 action. Enter code Tour Junkies to get a free shot at millions of dollars in prizes with your first deposit. That is code Tour Junkies only at DraftKings. Make it rain, baby. I guess Pat's gone to get a refill, or his tiny old man bladder is letting him down and he has to go tinkle. So I will say, I got to be honest with you. Now, if you're new to the Tour Junkies show, we've done this for 5 years, and every show, without fail, we don't talk to each other about our picks ahead of time. We don't give any inclination as to who we like, who we don't like, what our stats are, none of that. And there are many shows where there's agreement, and there are some shows where there is a lot of disagreement. This apparently is a show where, at least early on Sunday night, as we're recording this, there's some agreement. I had 3 names circled as my favorites for some tournament GPP leverage in DFS. As my favorites, not the only guys I like in the range, but as my favorites were Harris English, Paul Casey, and Louis Oosthuizen. My favorite in this is Louis. I definitely agree with the Louis Oosthuizen play. Long hitter, straight hitter, incredible U.S. Open record. Go back and check it out, people. It's really freaking good. Okay, in good form right now. I think Louis got a real shot here. Also, like the Paul Casey play. I referenced that sports book, right? The one that I tend to believe has really solid odds. His odds are better than are shorter with that book than some of the names in the 8K above him, and definitely a lot of the names in the 7K with him. So I believe in the Paul Casey play. And then I think Harris English too. I mean, I totally agree, Pat. I cannot believe I did it to you in the 8K and you did it to me in the 7K. So let me just toss out. Those are my 3 favorites. So I want to lock that in. Those are my 3 favorites. Louis, Casey, English. The honorable mentions that I guess I'll mention because I want to give the people a couple more picks. I'm going to get on Billy Horschel. I'm disappointed in how he played Eastlake. I am disappointed in what he did there. I thought he was going to play better at Eastlake. He did not. But, made 4 out of his last 5 cuts at the U.S. Open with 2 top 25s, 2 T32s. That's pretty solid. He's going to be low owned, $7,500, and he just does everything pretty good, pretty okay is kind of what he does. So I think Billy's interesting. And I don't know, I kind of, a part of me is looking at Martin Kymer. Part of me is looking at Martin Kymer. Okay. He is. So one thing I want to reference this week is people have probably heard of Data Golf, right? Data Golf is a very interesting website. It gives you some good data on golf. And they have this tool that shows you the world golf rankings, right? And then they have the tool that shows their rankings and the difference between the two. And they rank based on a lot of things. Martin Kymer is one of those players that they have ranked drastically better than the world golf ranking that is spitting out right now. Now, Martin Kymer's been playing actually pretty good lately. If you've been paying attention, he's been playing good on the European Tour. And he popped a little bit at the PGA, I believe it was. On the European Tour for the 2020 season, he's number 1 in strokes gained approach. He's a great combination of distance and accuracy. And as I've said before, we all know his biceps will be glistening in the sun by the afternoon, which will be a lot of fun to watch. So I kind of have an eye out on Martin Kymer if he remains kind of this low-owned play. He's obviously got major championship pedigree. He's a major championship winner. He's won the Players Championship. He's a pretty solid name out there. So those would be a couple other names. Pat, now we are into the 6K range. I will let you go give me your favorites, and then I will give you my favorites, and then I'm going to talk through some of these other European Tour players that I know people are going to be asking us about, and I know you're going to hear people talk about, but I want to give you some context for some of these new names, new faces that we're seeing here in the field for the U.S. Open. So I'll let you start.
All right. Well, I'll start at the top up here with a guy that I think is just a good U.S. Open style player. We've seen him play well recently, and that is Chez Reavie at 6,900. I think he's a good play this week. Now, obviously, he's not extremely long off the tee, but he is
really
very
good
accurate.
At the Safeway this week too.
He did. I think he's top 5 right now, right? Or
anyway, he's tied for third.
Second in the field in driving accuracy.
Freaking 14th. You got to be freaking kidding me.
Stewart Sink. Hey, good week for Georgia Tech, by the way. They beat Florida State. You know, they're just having a great week. You know, Sink is
fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway, Chez Reavie, he's 14th in bogey avoidance. He is 7th in the field in strokes gained approach, 21st in ball striking. I like him at 6,900. Then I'll drop down to – I'm going to have more – actually, you talked about how much you like the 6K range. I'm going to have more than I usually have. You talked about this last week that I don't have a ton of guys that I take down here. Well, I'm kind of I'm doubling that this week. I'm going to have a lot more.
Let's go crazy.
And I like Lotto Griffin at 6,500. I think he's a good play as well. He's been playing really well recently. You check the stats on Lotto. Let me get to him here real quick. At 6,500, 33rd in the field in ball striking, 15th in strokes gained approach. You know, not a long guy off the tee at all, but he is a decent scrambler, and I just like his form. So at 6,500, I think he is a good play. Sebastian Munoz at 6,600 is another good guy, a good play that I like this week. He's very hot right now, and he's doing it with his irons. He's doing it with his ball striking. He's a great scrambler. He's when you talk about a 6,600 guy, he's 45th in the field in driving accuracy. That's not that bad. And 33rd in the field in bogey avoidance. I think he is a good play down there at 6,600. Next guy that I will mention is, if I could read my writing, and I can't. So you go next because I can't read what I just wrote.
You know this is a U.S. Open show, right? Like this is supposed to be kind of a big deal. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I just realized I also didn't give you my fade for the 7K range.
See, this is a U.S. Open show, DB.
Well, I mean, I figured it out. You didn't even catch it. You didn't even know. But my fade would be Gary Woodland, defending U.S. Open champion, has been in not great form. If you look since the restart, traditionally not a great scrambler, historically and now in the short term, not a great scrambler. He is a good kind of par maker, grinder, bogey avoider, sure, but just not great lately and not great long-term, especially scrambling. Don't believe it, not buying it. And then my cash play, for the record, I had written down as Louis Ustasen. So I realized I forgot all that stuff. So
I remembered who my other play here in this range, and that is, I'm going to say the name wrong, but Mattai Schwab.
I think that's right. Schwab,
6,500. I think he's a good play this week. He's checking the box in.
Hang on. What is he? Good Lord.
Ball striking.
This is
approach.
Great.
Strokes gained around the green. Bogey avoidance. I like some Schwab at 6,500. One of those Euro Tour guys. You mentioned you have several down here that you like. I think he could be someone that makes a little bit of noise this week. Very cheap at 6,500. So he will be my last 6K guy that I will give you.
Well, yeah, he's a Euro Tour guy. He's been playing a lot on the PGA Tour here lately. By the way, shout out to Marcus Miklovich for helping me self-discover that all along I've been confusing Chris Baker and Christian Bezenhoot. I figured that out. So I'm sorry for misleading the people last week and weeks prior talking about Chris Baker being a Euro. He's not a Euro. He's literally from like freaking Indiana. So my bad there. My bad. That was on me. Okay. That was on me, folks. That was on me. I'm sorry. Just let me knock that out real quick. Hey, I gotta remind the people though, before I get into the 6K, my pick for the 6K, the Nut Hut. If you've not joined the Nut Hut and you're like, what the hell is the Nut Hut? on tourjunkies.com. That is our private member-only chat room. We do a member-only YouTube video. That is where we take our caddy inside information, our PGA Tour coach inside information, and we put it up there on Tuesday or Wednesday before the golf tournament, where just last week we had insight on 2 players that were both 9K and above, big name players for the Safeway Open. They were both 9K and above. We gave you inside info. One of them trunk slammed, and one of them finished 52nd. I'll let you figure out who they were. But that was pretty good information, right? Pat chose to ignore one of the pieces of information and just tanked himself like an idiot, but it is what it is.
You also didn't like my FGS Pop the Court play of the week, which was Mr. Kevin Strillman. Pretty sure you were anti-Strillman in the Nut Hut, and he finished in the top 5.
Yeah, good job. Anyway, I'm talking about the Nut Hut right now, Pat. Why are you distracting the people from the Nut Hut? The people need to go to the Nut Hut and subscribe, because what I'm talking about is only $10 a month. Literally $10 a month. That's it. $10 a month so like $250 a week. We do a freaking there's 50 golf tournaments coming up in the next 52 weeks. Okay, so for that little amount of money, you have the potential of having a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks where we give you some really valuable inside information that will help you pivot or not make a mistake or do something different. And you get to chat with me and Pat and Ben every Wednesday night about last minute lineup decisions, sports betting stuff, questions, whatever. And there's a ton of sharp people in the Nut Hut, a lot of sharp members. In fact, since the restart, Nut Hut members have won $3 million since June 8th. It is September, 13th right now. Since June 8th, Nut Hut members have won $3 million in DFS. That's huge for only $10 a month or $90 a year. Go to tourjunkies.com, join the Nut Hut, come hang out with us, with Ben, with fellow Nut Hut members, and starting this week, we will have a brand new Nut Hut Listener League, right? Where there are going to be many ways throughout the year for you to get a chance to win a trip next fall to come meet me and Pat and play golf with us at either Pat's home course at the Landings in Savannah, Georgia, or my home course in Augusta at Champions Retreat. It's going to be a great time. Congratulations to Marcus Griffin, the 2019-2020 winner of the Nut Hut Listener League. Marcus will be hosting you at one of those places. I would assume you're probably going to pick Augusta because I think you've already played with Pat before at some point. So you're probably not going to want to play with him again. But congratulations to you. Anyway, there's going to be a lot of different ways to win. So sign up for the Nut Hut today. If you're driving in your car, pull over and sign up. It's $10 a month. All right. And we have a lot of fun. We laugh. It's very zany in the Nut Hut. I think that's the best word to describe it. It's just a zany place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say, I would agree with that for sure.
And you get 20% off on anything you buy for the lifetime of your membership from the tourjunkies.com shop. 20% off anything. That's pretty good.
And hopefully coming up here shortly, we're going to have some good stuff in there for the Masters. So we'll see.
Working on some Masters merch right now. Oh, I just spit out some ice. Okay. Let's talk 6K for DB. All right. I'm going to start right at the top. I want a guy who's going to make a cut, who probably doesn't give me win equity, but I think he gives me top 10 equity, and that's Kevin Na. $6,800. Finished 7th at the U.S. Open, finished 12th at the U.S. Open over the last 5 years. Definitely an accurate player, tends to be a grinder, patient player, also frustrating player, but I think Kevin Na is worth a look in tournament play. So I'll go with Kevin Na. Okay. I'm going to skip some of my Euro guys for now. I tell you what, after the performance at the Safeway, your boy Kevin Strillman is popping. He's accurate for sure. So it's somebody to pay attention to, somebody to look at. You mentioned Sebastian Munoz, man. I mean, the guy is playing really, really well right now, and he's checking a lot of boxes. Doesn't have a whole lot of U.S. Open history, one U.S. Open, one miscut, but he is checking some boxes. Pay attention to Sebastian Munoz at $6,600. He's a longer, he's kind of long, and lately, at least, he's been hitting it straight, scrambling really well, avoiding big numbers. So Sebastian Munoz, I mean, he finished, I think he was top 10.
Top 10 in the last
Tour
two
Championship.
events.
8th at the BMW, which is a really tough course. He did miss the cut at the PGA. I don't know. He's somebody I'm going to look a little more into, I think, is Sebastian Munoz. Here I come again. I mean, Ryan Palmer, like he doesn't hit the ball very straight. I don't know. Probably not. I'm probably talking myself out of Ryan Palmer. Mattai Schwab is a guy that I had written down. He has definitely been playing well on the PGA Tour since he kind of started this year. Didn't do great at Memorial or the PGA, 2 tough golf courses, but he did finish 32nd at 3M, 42nd at the Wyndham, 42nd at the WGC. Seems like a cut maker. Doesn't get himself into a lot of trouble. Somebody that, I may have some interest in. And then Christian Bezenhoot, not Chris Baker, is somebody that I am also interested in. So I mentioned Data Golf, and I mentioned how they have the world golf rankings. Christian Bezenhoot is a guy that is interesting. He is much higher ranked. Let me find where he is. Okay, C-Bez. I like to call him C-Bez, so I don't have to pronounce his name. Okay, C-Bez is, let's see. Where is he? Okay. C-Bez in Data Golf. Let's see. There's a big discrepancy here. Okay, he's 52nd officially in the world golf ranking. Data Golf has him at 35th. And he's playing pretty well right now on the PGA Tour. He's not doing too bad. He's an accurate player off the tee. I think C-Bez is an interesting look at 6,500. I totally agree with your Chez Reavie play. I think Chez is going to be pretty popular, but I do like where he's at. Accurate, playing well. Like I said, just finished 3rd at the Safeway, but I think he is going to be rather chalky for sure. Now, Corey Connors, great tee to green. Maybe we can get a little inside info on him come Wednesday night in the Nut Hut into how he's putting. I talked about this place tends to level the playing field with bad putters, and that's his thing. He's a horrible putter. I mean, we found out at the PGA, we put this in the Nut Hut. Actually, this was on the Nut Hut, inside information, that Corey Connors was trying out all these different putting styles, like the week of the PGA. He was so lost, and he missed the cut. So we know he's not a great putter. But if these POA greens could possibly neutralize that, he's a tremendous ball striker. So Corey's interesting, maybe a pivot from a guy like Chez Reavie, who I do think is going to be popular. But all right, that's that. Let's talk about some of these Euros, Pat. Do you have any Euros, by the way, that kind of stand out to you? You have a question about? Maybe you could be the listener. You could be the guy who's like, hey, what about this guy? So as you're scrolling through, and there may be. There's some that I'm ignoring, but there are a handful that I'm not.
I mean, I mentioned Schwab, who I think is obviously he's a Euro. Yeah. I think people always look at Thomas Pieters because he's one of those guys that popped a few years ago. I think that's one that is interesting to me.
Let's talk about Thomas Pieters.
You tell me a little bit of, give me some more about Thomas Pieters. Maybe why Mike should play him. Now, he doesn't have a great U.S. Open record. He's missed the cut, both times he's played in 2017 and 2019. But he's an interesting name to me, so I'll put him out there. And then the other one that I thought,
well, no. Let's stop and talk about Pieters real quick. I want to talk about him. All right. So Thomas Pieters is one that I am recommending that people play. I'm recommending people play Thomas Pieters. I like Thomas Pieters here. And let me tell you why. If you look on the European Tour right now, Thomas Pieters, 8th in driving distance. We've always known Pieters is a bomber. Okay, we've always known that. 8th in driving distance. He is 2nd in strokes gained approach. He is 21st in strokes gained around the green. That's all pretty good. Okay, and while being 8th in distance, he's 61st in driving accuracy, which doesn't sound sexy. But out of 140 players, he's in the top, what is that, like top 40% of players on the European Tour in accuracy, and one of the top longest players on tour. And he plays well with his irons, and he scrambles his dick off pretty good. He finished 15th at his last event, 3rd the event before that, 21st the event before that. We just haven't seen a lot of him. He's a Ryder Cup player. Thomas Pieters is a big player, like a big quality name out of Europe that hits it a long way. we've seen him in the past be kind of a hothead. I believe if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Maybe somebody on the YouTube can correct me. I think he's had a child lately. Maybe that's kind of like leveled him out a little bit. But I think Thomas Pieters is one of the Euros that I would say, yeah, I think let's have, if you like a little sprinkle of Thomas Pieters, I think you sprinkle a little Thomas Pieters. Okay. What's another one? Why don't you throw out another one, Pat?
Another one. I'm going to go a little bit lower on you here. And at 6,300, Justin Harding.
Justin Harding is a big fat fade for me. He has sucked on the web.com or Corn Ferry Tour lately. I can't believe I just said that. Yeah, just a fade for me. He's a longer hitter, fine. He's done okay on some PGA Tour events. I'm going to say no on Justin Harding. Lately, the form is not great.
Okay. Another guy, let's see here. I'm going to ask you about
Fun game.
Andy Sullivan.
I'm glad you asked me about Andy Sullivan, Pat. I am going to recommend that people maybe play Andy Sullivan. Okay. Here's where we are with Andy Sullivan. All right. He just won a European Tour event just a handful of weeks ago, like 4 weeks ago. Here are his last 5 events on the European Tour. 41st, win, 47th, 9th, miscut. Pretty good form. Like that's solid form on the European Tour. Andy Sullivan has played in major tournaments throughout the years. He's been a good player for a while. Okay. Confirmed on YouTube, Thomas Pieters did have Marcus Miklovic confirmed that Thomas Pieters had a little girl in July. See, I was right. Strokes gained, home life. He checks the box. Back to Andy Sullivan. If you look at his European Tour record or statistics, 51st in distance, 82nd in accuracy. Okay. So just kind of that kind of middle guy, right? He's probably like who would we compare him to on the PGA Tour? We'd probably compare him to like like a Billy Horschel. He's like a Billy Horschel. He's like pretty accurate, okay distance. Actually, he's probably worse than a Billy Horschel. Anyway, he's not bad. 3rd in strokes gained approach on the European Tour and top 50% in strokes gained around the green. Not a bad scrambler, but he's got experience. That's what I kind of like about Andy Sullivan is he's got major championship experience, and I think he could be a guy that, does okay. He finished 23rd at his last U.S. Open. So not too shabby for 6,300. All right, ask me another one.
Okay. Lucas Herbert. Herbert.
I have nothing on him. Ask me another.
Okay. All right. Eddie Pepperell. I just said that.
Nothing on Eddie Pepperell.
Okay. How about this one? This was a good one for you because I've seen him. I just feel like he's popped somewhere on Twitter or whatever. But Connor Syme.
Yeah.
Anything on him?
Good young player. He's been really hot on the European Tour right now. So yeah, if you look at his game log on DraftKings, he's finished 8th, 3rd, and 19th his last 4 events. Not too shabby. Let me see what. Actually, I didn't look at where his. Let me tell you his Data Golf world ranking. All right, official world ranking is 205. Data Golf has him at 161. Obviously, they think they're higher on him than the world golf ranking. However, knowing what I know about some of the other players in here and where Data Golf would rank them, I would probably say he's a fade.
All right, I'm going to mention the guy real quick who's not European, but I think worth mentioning because we're from Augusta. We got to mention Grayson Sigg at 6,100, who has been lighting it up on the Corn Ferry Tour lately. I don't know I think if you play him, it's just because you want to, and it's a little bit of a flyer play, and he's cheap as hell, but he is in great form. I think Grayson Sigg could be a guy that you could throw in a lineup in a tournament, and he might pop. You never know with the U.S. Open. I mean, we get some crazy guys that make the cut and give it a run at the U.S. Open. I mean, hell.
We do. If it were me, I'd rather play Will Zalatoris at 67.
I would. I agree with that.
As good as Grayson Sick's been on the Korn Ferry Tour, Will
Zalatoris has been amazing.
Has been unbelievable. In fact, Data Golf has Zalatoris as the 42nd ranked player in the world. That is tremendous. He just finished runner-up today.
He is amazing.
Yeah, runner-up today at another Korn Ferry event.
Yeah.
Zalatoris, I think, is worth hitting over on the sportsbook side. I think he's worth a top 20 or top 10 bet.
I agree with that.
All right, let me not delay this any further and talk about a couple more European Tour players. One is Rasmus Holgard.
My goodness.
Or whatever. He is at $6,800. Okay. Here are Rasmus's most recent finishes. You ready for this? 2nd, 6th, 3rd, win, 31st on the European Tour. AKA pretty good. Bookmaker. Anyway, let me talk about this. In terms of his stats on the European Tour, he is 5th in driving distance. Hits it a long way. Young kid. 63rd in driving accuracy. So top 40% in accuracy. And number 5 in distance. Pretty solid. He is 13th in strokes gained approach and 71st in strokes gained around the green. I'm pretty sure this is Rasmus's first major, which is obviously pretty big. But if you're going to play, I mean, it's tough. This is a big boy tournament. This is big for the young fella. He's $6,800, but I think in a large GPP, you don't get crazy. He's going to be like 3% owned or less. If you're playing mass entry on DraftKings or FanDuel or something, he might be worth a sprinkle. That's all I'm saying, because he is a very talented young player, and he is hot. He is in hot form right now. So I think he has upside to finish top 20. I think that's legitimately his upside. So, and Holgard is he's a young boy. So, all right, and then I'm going to give you another one. Where is he? Let me make sure I pronounce his name right. Romaine lettuce. I love romaine lettuce. It's actually my favorite type of lettuce. If I had to pick any lettuces, it would be romaine.
I would actually agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah, romaine Langask, I guess, is who he is. His recent finishes on the European Tour go like this: 57th, 26th, win, miscut, and a 17th. 37th in driving distance, 48th in driving accuracy. So a great total driving kind of guy. 26th in approach, 87th in around the green play. Not as great of a scrambler, but Romaine is an interesting lettuce and option for this week. Now, a big name that has been playing really well in the European Tour is Sam Horsfield, and I like Sam Horsfield. I like his name, but I think I'm a fade on Sam. You know, he's definitely a long hitter. I think I'd rather play Erasmus. He's as long as Erasmus is as long as him, but he's more accurate based on European Tour stats. So I think I'll avoid Horsfield, and Rasmus has a better strokes gained approach number as well. So there you go. A few of the European Tour names I think all the people will be asking us about, and I wanted to get ahead of it. So there you go.
Wow. I never thought we would spend that much time on the Euro guys and
it's the U.S. Open, and people are going to ask us. I think it's valuable information. They can skip forward if they don't like it.